So I walk my dog around the block a few times, and it's nice. So she's a little bit winded, and it'll build up her appetite, and she's doing quite well. So I feel amazing. I know now that every weekend when my husband comes home, and or if he goes and hangs out with other people besides me, that I will have to level up and take on the intelligence and release and repair, and that is going to be my life. And that's fine. If I need to accomplish things between Monday, Tuesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, possibly even Friday, then I'll do that. And at this point, I've been doing quite well with working within that kind of schedule, knowing that I have to also take care of myself and my dog and everyone around me in my immediate area, like my husband. And so, so now that I've allowed my lymph nodes to express, okay, and that happened when a very aggressive COVID variant came through, and it triggered either whatever I had inside as far as HIV or whatever I picked up out there that triggered HIV, and then all the hives came up. And then with all the hives, I had a lot of rashes. I mean, it was a very dark lymph node rash a couple months ago. And I'm thinking, oh man, I was doing the J juice, of course, the last couple of years, but I got off it and just eating the food and the food supply. And if I would have done more J juice the last couple of years, I might have seen something come through, like a lymph node opening up or something, because I had one that was down below that was able to express itself from when I was a kid, and that could have turned into cancer because I had other issues going on down there too as well. That could have been a tumor or something. It wasn't like an issue, but just stuff that I knew was going to turn into something if I didn't do something. But so I allowed my lymph nodes to express, and so they opened up and all the hives came. And then now, finally, with these new variants that come through, whatever's in them, it's allowing, then when my body needs to express, I blow my nose, I pee, poo, all that stuff, work the sphincter if I have to. And then also my lymph nodes are allowed to express. And that's why you don't want to wear deodorant. I know people are like, well, I stink. Well, yeah, you have a lot of life in you, a lot of bacteria, a lot of candida, a lot of parasites, protozoa, proteins, fungus, and bacteria. And you don't want to kill them. I mean, you don't want to take any antibacterials, but you have to allow them to escape your body. And your lymph nodes, your armpits, all the different orifices are an escape hatch for all the things that are excess. That's why you're not a closed system, you're an open system. But people treat themselves as a closed system by taking hormones that block the body's ability to express. And so people hold so much life inside of them, and that's why they blow up. That's why they also get eaten out from the inside. They are being cannibalized. And so social media and this virus and even the J juice all work hand in hand. It's all about self-expression. Either CELLF or SELF expression. And that kinetic energy, when you are expressing, that kinetic energy will make you stronger or make you weaker. Okay, whether you're listening to it or you're doing it, or and so it'll make you stronger or weaker. And so now you got to understand that you can get kinetic energy through exercise. I mean, people do that, and that's a way to build up muscles and look like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Cindy Crawford. Or you do kinetic energy on the inside where you're feeling the variants and the viruses that are going to be building you up, but also some have been programmed to attack you because of the therapies inside that are programmed to attack certain algorithms because they're protection, they're antivirals type of thing. And everyone is exposed to viruses. there's no getting away from it. Okay, and so when you are around people who have been programmed to attack specific algorithms, you're gonna have to feel the attacks and feel the reparations and build your body up and get stronger. See, that's the survival of the fittest on the inside. And then also that manifests depending upon how you've been programmed as far as muscles and anger and hormones. People become super soldiers in the military. So they're not so much working on the inside more than they are really working on the outside. They're working on the outside a whole lot, and all the brainwashing and the type of MK Ultra abuse that happens at lower levels in the military. So if you think the military is low level MK Ultra abuse, imagine what people actually have to go through when they go through MK Ultra abuse. It's pretty intense. And that would be actually like the SEALs and all the Delta Force and all that. They go through major MK Ultra. So, and so you realize that the lymph nodes are also lines of defense, but your main ones are your first and second lines. Your blowing your nose, snarking, the sneezing, the coughing, the mucus, and the second lines is the diarrhea, waterfalls, and fever. But also your skin is allowed to express. It should be allowed to express. No different than social media. You can hear somebody's wailing about things on Facebook or being an activist, or your body's going to express, and it'll have rashes. And so I showed a picture of my armpit, and it's on both sides, but it's not bad like it was a couple months ago when my body was first expressing the lymph nodes. And if I didn't allow them to express, if I used any kind of steroid cream or any kind of cream, antibacterial cream, or any kind of even so much J juice to stop it from expressing, then it would go back into the body and cause more damage. See, your body's supposed to express. When people look at, when they have kids and their kids have all these rashes, like, oh my God, my kid has all these rashes. They got it from this, and this. Dude, it's the body releasing what could turn into cancer or juvenile diabetes or something down the road. But people respond to the red inflammation on their body with extremely aggressive ionizing agents or antibiotics or steroid creams or essential oils or all their alchemy, and then they cause more damage inside because they're not allowing it to be released. I mean, your body is an open system, but it's been treated as a closed system using hormone replacement therapy and also drugs and other agents because they don't want people to be communicable. You're in a 7.9 billion world of people that work in an office, that go hang out together. And if everybody was leveling up to each other at the level that is going on at the height of the pandemic, okay, you'd have people dropping like flies left and right. So right now, well, before COVID-19, everyone was sort of happy with the rate of disease and the rate of birth. Now that we have COVID-19, plus then how aggressive it is, and everyone's releasing what's in their immune system, now the rate of death and the rate of birth, well, the rate of death is far more, well, I don't say far more. The rate of death is far more than people are used to. Is it far more than the rate of birth? Potentially, because we're trying to scale down the population and well, you know, people are still having babies, but at the same level they were. I don't know. I don't have those statistics. Okay. So anyway, so now, you know, now that I've been finally on the right track and I've figured out the viruses can be programmed, and then also oncology and all the different therapeutics are, yeah, in a lot of ways, it's like we're doing a lot of experiments on people, even though they're FDA approved, it's still experimental. Nothing's 100%. And those are the people that are sacrificing themselves for you if you get this. If you don't get this, the whole JJ meta mentality, and you claim to be an influencer, if you don't get this, then you'll be bitching and complaining about all the things that are going on, and you won't save yourself, and you'll be taking the energy and money away from people instead of giving them access to power, access to staying alive, access to another way to survive this without going down with the ship, and being able to see amazing things in the future, because there's going to be amazing shit in the future. There's people out there that are programmed. There's a lot of people out there are programmed to roll out so much stuff in the future. And the future is now, yes, but we're seeing a progressive build up the future and get rid of the old world. And so, we'll see some stuff, and you can survive this. It doesn't have to be bad, but you have to change the way you do things. And the whole attacking someone or defending an idea or attacking an idea and then trying to get an audience and influencing them, trying to tell them, oh, the New World Order is trying to kill you. Well, that's very 2012. That's very 2018. It's very 2016, the whole cancel culture. When audience members are attacking the actors and actresses, no different than that dude on Dr. Phil, which I wasn't even aware that was going to happen. Of course not. I was just a guest on the show. I wasn't running the show. But that dude that came out and tried to attack me, and Dr. Phil was like blocking, I'm just like, oh, that's so Chris Rock and Will Smith. Were they rolling shit out way back even in 2018? Because that's when it first happened, as far as from my experience. I'm sure that happened in other places, but that was like, oh wait, this is very reminiscent. And of course, Dr. Phil is Hollywood, but they do exploit people. That's not always for good, but it's also too because it also can be good because people are getting the benefit of the conversation, whether or not they agree with the premise. They're getting the benefit of the conversation. And so anyways, instead of attacking and defending people, why don't you as an influencer understand the JJ Meta mentality, get on Facebook and say, okay, now I want to chronicleize my health journey, but not using all the Rife machines and the essential oils and all the Botox and the MLMs and the supplements and the water, the ionizing water, whatever, the ionizing water or the distilled water. Excuse me. Instead of using all the obvious packaged and repackaged shit that you've seen everywhere, get on fucking Facebook and talk about your journey. Maybe not so much you don't have to say JJ's, but say salt and water and probiotics. Say your fermented kale. You don't call it JJ's. I'm writing a book. You guys can do whatever you want with the book, and that book will be your Bible, so to speak. And that you can talk about your journey where you are purging out all those excess T cells and B cells, and then what you are experiencing. I'm telling you, I have so much material just from my own health process, not by attacking or defending a person, place, or thing, but talking about me, because everybody else out there is doing the therapeutic. They're trying to suppress whatever inflammation. They're out there attacking biotech or the New World Order or politics, religion, and science. And that's so repackaged. That's so obvious. That's so just like, it's so old. Why can't you guys get on Facebook and you have a big audience. Some of you have a lot of audience. I saw somebody that said that they're going to talk about their health journey. And I don't know what it is. I'm not even going to say his name. But I saw that and it gave me an idea, like, why don't these influencers finally turn over a new leaf? And instead of packaging and repackaging the same bullshit of red pill, blue pill, purge out those little demons and imagine what kind of shit you have in your head that you didn't know you had and in you until you experienced it through a dream, until you experienced it through just feeling the pain and you're putting your mind towards getting your body better and or maybe you are focusing on music or literature or writing or reading or whatever. Maybe you are trying to develop a much more intellectual existence, not so much a reactive, proactive existence. That now, I mean, proactivity can be just like putting all these preventative measures because you're afraid you're going to get, exposed to something. So we don't want too much proactivity, we want too much reactivity. But you understand that you hold so much of the disease inside of you. Some people are so cured that they don't even know they have the disease inside of them because they won't let it express because they've done so much J juice every single time they feel something. They don't feel shit. They think it's great, but they're not evolving. And they're in a closed system. When you cure yourself and you don't feel the new variants that are floating out there, regardless if you think the virus exists or not, when you don't feel your environment and you don't feel the mucus, because you have lines of defense that are there for a reason, so you can go in and acclimate to your environment. When I go outside and I walk my dog, I blow my nose at least one time. That's me recalibrating to that environment. Stuff goes in and I'm releasing out any excess mucus. Okay? And so you hold a lot of disease inside and you have so much to offer. And you can write about your perspective of your journey. Because believe me, even if you write your perspective for your first layer of memories and things that you realized, it's not going to be the end. Until you finally realize that you can't take a side in everything. It's all about balance. And all of your politics, religion, and science is all scripts that were given to you by those that knew how to manipulate your reactions. And that's what I've been looking for in the JJ world with people that were next to me, where they can get on Facebook Live and they can use Facebook Live, they can use their words, they were so comfortable with themselves that they weren't tied in with politics, religion, science. They weren't all into the energy healing world. They weren't really attacking anything, a person, place, or thing. I want people to be real about themselves. Figure out where they also contributed to the problem that they're bitching about at this point. Where are they responsible? Or is it always that person's fault, or that person's fault, or that person's fault? Or they attack themselves with Botox, with plastic surgery, with therapies. They stop the self-expression. When Facebook censors people, yes, I know it's a form of censoring self-expression. But like any kind of aggressive disease that's so extreme, when someone's feeling something and they're kind of scared of the energy, they'll check themselves into a hospital. They'll ask doctor whatever to please suppress this energetic feeling because I don't want to. Okay, that's kind of the way Facebook is. They're not there to allow you to express and see what happens, right? Because they already seen the Arab Spring and the different protest rallies when people are playing those games of extremism. Okay, because extremism or allowing something so extraordinarily energetic to express and the body's at a deficit, no different than our audience are at a deficit. Can they handle that much energetic transition to a new world? Some people get cannibalized by it, which means that they become bad actors and express things that are very violent. So we don't want that either, okay? And so instead of expressing doing damage to somebody else or to the system or to whatever, why don't you take responsibility of what you have to play in the part of all of this? That we have been bamboozled by a lot of different people who are looking to make money off your reactions and your proactions. Okay? And that's hard to admit that, that you have been manipulated. Because I already see still people on my Facebook in the J-Juice world still attacking their politicians. The politicians had nothing to do with your situation. If you actually understand how aggressive this virus is, you understand why they want people to wear masks. Why they wanted to close down establishments. Why they had to keep people indoors for a certain amount of time. If you understood the power of this virus. But if you're cured or inebriated and highly emotional, you're not going to fucking understand how aggressive this virus is. And what is this virus? It's a virus that jumped from person to person, had high aggressive algorithms, that when one person caught it and they had an aggressive reaction to it, it made that virus stronger because how they reacted to that virus. If a virus hit somebody that wasn't very reactive to it, that was very healthy, it would get absorbed by the person, it would get neutralized by the person's DNA, and it would come out in a less aggressive form. But what happens, what makes viruses very strong, is that it hits people who are immunocompromised that will have an aggressive reaction, and also how people react to information. And so then everybody and their mother are taking proactive preventative measures, making the virus stronger because viruses only get stronger by how much DNA is able to capture and be exposed to. And so like when you walk into a crowd of people and one person is shouting and yelling and being stupid and everybody else, then it goes viral. People start reacting and shouting and yelling and whatever. But if someone goes to a crowd, a very silent crowd, and doesn't say a word, the crowd's going to be quiet if the crowd's already quiet. It's when someone who is disruptive comes in and changes the tone, changes the activity, changes the energy in the room. And so that's the same thing with a virus. If people didn't react to the virus with all their preventatives and their fears, and that includes the media, that includes everybody, and their reactive measures with their aggressive detoxes and all that, then we wouldn't have these pandemics. But since we have so many different people at different levels of decline on different therapies, releasing all of their therapies into the environment, now you're seeing so many allergies. Now you're seeing allergies, you're seeing cancer disease, chronic illness, sepsis, autoimmune disorders, food allergies, environmental allergies, even premature death, because maybe they wouldn't have passed away if they weren't exposed to somebody's aggressive reaction to all these viruses. And even on social media, I have to block certain people who are very aggressive. And yeah, humans are viruses. That's not a bad thing. Viruses can build you up and viruses can destroy you. Humans are made up of a conglomeration of viruses, and some are more negative and then they're out to destroy, and some are more positive where they're out to build up. But you still have a balance of both negative and positive, but the more negative you are, obviously we know that that equals death when you think about it, because it's taking away life. And when you have more negatives taking away all life, not just aspects where it's trying to keep the balance, but when you have more negatives in your body practicing antibiotics and you already have a negative balance in your body and you're seeing the decline, you're seeing the aging process, the despair, the anxiety, all that stuff, or the love, then you know the predictable outcome is that all those negative entities are going to cannibalize a person and they'll end up passed away or aging or whatever. And so I'm just going to, just say that at some point, you got to change your story. You got to change your approach to all of this. You got to change your approach to change. Because I'm telling you, what you guys are doing out there, it's not fucking working. You still see people around you dropping like flies. People are still not getting what's going on here. The system knows how you are easily manipulated and easily reactive and also easily proactive, to the point of where you will put so many protective measures that you'll close yourself off yet again. There's ways to be protective, and there's ways to allow things to express and be exposed. But if you are so protective of yourself and then you use all your remedies and all of your hate speech or love speech to then block new information, because that's what love, and hate do, is they also block evolution. And then you cannibalize someone with your love and your hate. And so we want now an evolutionary population that's able to release all that angst, all that excessive energy that will cannibalize you. And so you do it on social media, and you'll go through layers and layers of awakenings. I did. What you thought was true and right and so, what I thought was true, right and so a couple of years ago, I had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of layers. Everything that I thought I knew, everything that I believed in, everything that I was raised in, everything that I was exposed to was just another fucking storyline. Whether it was Trump or Biden or politics or religion or some scientific dogma or some conspiracy theory. I mean, everything has elements of truth and can also be exaggerated for, somebody's bank account. Because the more you react, the more you're giving up your energy. The more you're giving up your money to the Patreon accounts. The more you go listen to somebody on YouTube that's getting money, all those ads. And you see how YouTube can be very addicting because of all the fear campaigns and the sacrificing of people. Everyone loves a human sacrifice, right? At least it's not them. So they watch somebody else get sacrificed. It's like, woo, we gotta watch somebody get sacrificed. That's fun. It's like going to the public hangings. When you're watching, the whole Johnny Depp stuff, or when you're watching somebody rip somebody apart on social media, limb by limb, that's the new human sacrifice, is where you are, publicly journalistically executing somebody. You're taking down their professional, or canceling their professional appearances and all that stuff. Or how do I want to say it? You're destroying them professionally. That's what I mean to say. And so the whole cancel culture is like the public hangings. It really is. And so at some point we're going to have to diverge from that, because that's so 17, 16, 15, 1200. That's so medieval. What's going on the influencers and Facebook and YouTube and the whole, you've been programmed by those that perpetrated the Spanish Inquisition. Okay, we're run by those that understood the Spanish Inquisition and all the medieval shit. And so if you can't enact it literally in the town square, you have movies that traumatize people, and you have the virtual public hangings. And they are done by the goths, the atheists on YouTube that proclaim themselves the saviors from salt, the saviors from pseudoscience, the saviors, and they are actively destroying people, places, and things. But they call themselves the saviors. It's the Walking Dead. The saviors were the deemed protectors, and they were destroying people left and right. People were afraid of the saviors. Well, you should be afraid of the saviors. They will save you to death. Oh, but remember, they're bound by the covenant of being right, the moral right or the moral left. And so you see the irony within all of this. And so I'm saying now, you guys, maybe it's time to do something different. I'm sorry that your mom has Alzheimer's. I'm sorry that you have your own issues. I'm sorry that this is the only way you can make money, was to go and destroy somebody else. But people are going to get hip to that if they want to save themselves. They're going to realize that they have been bamboozled by those that are greedy on fucking YouTube. They've been bamboozled by their friends and family selling them a fucking Botox, MLM, supplement, antibiotics. They've been bamboozled by a lot of things by people's greed. And maybe now it's time to start reflecting and start talking about your responsibility in all this. And if you can't do that, then what the fuck are you doing? You're not helping anybody, because you haven't even helped yourself or come to terms with your own part in this. And so if you can't be real with yourself, then you're not going to be real on Facebook. It'll just be another smoke and mirrors, another fucking image that you're putting out there. And we have so many of the fakery out there. How real do you want to get? Well, it's layers and layers of programming. And it's not easy. And so some people will end up just passing away in the system because it's easier to put on an image and then justify it. Well, I don't believe in what Jillian says. I believe that you should pass away someday. Or they completely ignore my information and pretend I don't exist, which is fine. Leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. That's fine. But you got to see how this works. And there's so many different types of people out there. And you don't have to be another sheep. And I mean that in the most truest sense, because sheep don't take responsibility for themselves. Sheep follow a crowd. Sheep do not know how to be a black sheep. A black sheep is somebody who is given another argument to go and feel like they're special. Black sheep aren't always necessarily the evolutionary sheep. But sheep, whether they're black or whether they're white, they just follow the crowd. They can't, and you know what? You aren't the crowd. You take yourself out of the crowd, you become the individual, and now you have something to say. Now you can be a leader, and the crowd follows you, but you better lead them down the right fucking path. You don't be cannibalizing your crowd. And that's what's going on, is we have people cannibalizing their own crowd. And so if you're going to be a leader in something, be moral and ethical about it. And if you don't want to be a leader, then follow whatever you want. But that's why I am appealing to the influencers out there, because they are the leaders. They have their following, they have their people, whether it's 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, or 150, you are a leader whether you know it or not. And if you can't lead your people in a way that is so different from everybody else, which means that you own up to your shit, because when you talk about yourself, you're talking about Johnny, Billy, Susie, Kim, Johnny, Billy, Susie, Kim, whatever, Paul, whatever. You're talking about, when you talk about yourself, you are talking about everybody else around you. And people are going to see themselves in you. They're going to know that and when people come through and you see that, oh, that person does this, and then you start speaking towards their situation without actually saying their name. That is an art on how to speak to someone without actually directly speaking to them. I do it all the time. That's why people are like, Jillian, are you talking about me? And people answer me as if I was talking to them. And yeah, I was talking about them without saying their name, but they felt, because they know that they're either in that situation, and they know that I know about their situation. Not everybody on the Facebook knows their situation, but I know the situation. So I'll speak to it without saying their name. And so you can talk about yourself and still merge in with your crowd and get the point across. And that takes an art. That's knowing yourself, knowing the other person, knowing the world that you live in. Let me tell you, people want to live. People don't want to fucking die. But they don't know when death is going to happen for them if they believe they should die. So then they're like, oh, well, fuck it. I'm just going to live for now. And they have no real relationship to what they do today. It could be any time at this point. As far as a catastrophic event, like within their body. Like when I felt like I was choking on my own mucus, holy shit. If I was a lesser person, I probably would have died in my sleep. If I didn't have the strength to cough out that mucus that I was exposed to. And if I weakened my first lines of defense where things just got in, then you know what? Down the road, I would have cancer. And so the fact that I felt what it feels like to choke on my own mucus because my first lines of defense were so strong that I was able to hold back the fucking dam from getting in, and then I coughed it out and mucused out. That's what you got to explain to people. Not that you have this new cure that you don't feel anything, and then you're out there, blaming the government or blaming biotech for everything. But you have to understand why biotech does what it does. You have to understand that when you're around people who are dropping all their therapeutics on you, you're getting the intelligence, and you have to release the things that are antibiotic. How you react to any type of exposure to new information will be the difference on how strong your reaction in your body is going to be and whether or not you're going to live through it. And so you have to keep feeding. You have to keep eating. Yeah, you may have to work your sphincter to get the poop out, because if you're using J juice all the time to make you poop, you're not gaining intelligence. You're now closing your system off. That's the careful balance of J juice, is yet you don't want to close your system down and be cured. And then people are like, oh yeah, I don't feel anything, Jillian. I don't understand what you're talking about. There's no virus. It's only the one that happened back in 2020. That's when I know someone is very, very cured, or they're still doing J juice, is when they're like, oh, I already had the COVID back in 2020. I'm sorry, but there is the Delta, the Omicron, the BA2, and there's other variants too out there. There's the HIV. There's so many different variants out there, and you only talk about the one that happened in 2020. You're closed. You don't feel any of this environment. I'm not talking to you because you can't feel shit. You're one of the zombies out there, and there are many of them. That's why there's so much virus denial. Oh, it doesn't exist. It's only in the VA or in the V's. Well, whatever. But you're still going to be exposed to everybody and their mother, whether they're therapized or not. And if you don't feel anything from all the exposure to all the therapies and the people who are not on therapies, then you're a fucking zombie. And then what are you doing? Oh, that's right. Zombies go and cannibalize other people. Zombies go and blame. Zombies go and just exploit their audience. And so I am appealing to all the influencers out there. Activists. Because if you're an activist, you're a fucking influencer. If you're an activist and you don't like this or don't like that, then I'm sure you can change your fucking argument. But if that's not financially appealing, then you're in it for the fucking money. You're in it to cannibalize people. You're in it to take their people's bank accounts and drain them freaking dry. And so anyways, I know I'm being very like aggressive right now. But I need to now start typing. Because I get it now. You know, there is people choose. They're going to choose oncology. They're going to choose the different therapeutics. And it's going to help them for a minute. And eventually it's going to destroy them at some point in time. But how you react in the presence of someone who's therapized or not someone that you don't even fucking know that's doing a therapy or not doing a therapy, because that's fucking irrelevant to you. When you're in the presence of people who are therapized or not, they're going to give you their gifts. How you react to their gifts, their curses, and their spells, it's all wrapped into one little package called mucus, will be the difference if you get smarter or dumber. Because you'll either take on a substance that's going to block the intelligence or cure you, or you're going to go home and release and express and eat food and deal with whatever comes up in your body. But what you're doing out there on Facebook or out there in the street, protesting against what somebody chooses to do or not do, that's how they're able to manipulate you and exploit you for your money. You're being exploited when you're worried about somebody else over there in fucking Australia. When you're worried about somebody over there across the street. If there's no crime being committed, then why the hell do you care what kind of therapeutics they do? Because you're just as communicable as they are. Because you've done all the therapies. You've released all the fucking mucus, and you're adding to the cesspool. So you're just as culpable as they are if you're going to blame them for passing around disease. So maybe it's time that you take on the gifts and release the curses and the spells. And then you talk about your awakening of being a human, not a fucking zombie. Bye.